Cardi B just dropped her highly anticipated single Outside, and it seems like people are rocking with it. This was a song that she had previewed before in the past, but when this song came out, there wasn't a whole bunch of buzz in terms of an immediate release. She wasn't screaming from the rooftops that she was about to drop this and telling us on Instagram every single time we saw her page. It just kind of came out, and it seems to be doing very well in terms of numbers. It's #1 right now on Apple Music in terms of all singles, and the video on YouTube, which isn't even a music video, it's just like the official audio, had over 1.5 million views in less than 2 days. So it seems like this song is really starting to kick off another gain in momentum for Cardi B, and it seems like this single might be the start to her possibly getting hot again going into her sophomore album, which for some reason has taken up to 7 years now. What's good, YouTube? It's Justice I Used to Be Pay, and today I'm back with another video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Cardi B and how she's basically trying to do the impossible. But before I get into that, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those things. It helps me out a ton. And honestly, I am pretty excited for this. Like, I am a decently big Cardi B fan. Like, I know a lot of people try to act like these girls don't be snapping like that, but I really do like Cardi B, so I'm pretty excited for this. Cardi B has been saying for like 5 years now, maybe longer, that she's about to drop her sophomore album. But now it feels like we might actually end up getting this album, because Cardi B not only just dropped that single Outside, but she actually made a whole album announcement that she posted all over socials, with the title of the album being Am I the Drama, and the album coming out on September 19th. Now, I know she said she was going to drop this album for the last 5 years now, but this is actually the first time that we've even gotten this far along with having an official date, an official name, an official announcement. So it really does feel like this album is finally coming. And what Cardi B is really attempting to do is the impossible, because the run that Cardi B went on from the explosion of Bodak Yellow all the way up until the release of Invasion of Privacy and all the music on Invasion of Privacy was truly insane. Like, she was going crazy, and it really felt like the music game was hers. Like, I felt like she was going to be the biggest thing in music for the foreseeable future. And in a way, that kind of happened. You know, at the time, she had like 3 #1 hits. She had a whole bunch of other hits that weren't necessarily #1, but were hitting the charts, maybe top 10, top 5. Like, she was going truly nuts. But the follow-up to Invasion of Privacy has really been kind of like shaky at best. It's been 7 years since the release of Invasion of Privacy, and artists taking like big breaks in between their albums isn't a super rare thing, even in hip-hop. However, this is behavior that is reserved really only for the big dogs of rap. You know, guys like Kendrick Lamar, Travis Scott, and even Nicki Minaj, because it's such a risk for pretty much any other artist to take big multi-year gaps in between their albums, because you're risking the fans forgetting about you, the fans eventually moving on, somebody else coming into your space and taking some of your fans away, and just kind of becoming irrelevant for the fact that you're not here. And the best ability is availability, at least in sports. I don't know about always in music, but still, you get what I'm saying. Like, that's typically a risk that comes with taking these big breaks. But when the big dogs do it, their fan base is already so solidified that they will wait and wait and wait. Like, their fans are always waiting on them at the drop of a dime to drop that album and go listen to it. It doesn't matter if it takes 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, sometimes even 7 years. So this is behavior that's not super rare. It's just really only reserved for the big dogs. But also, these long breaks are a little bit more acceptable from the top artists, at least by fans, because it typically comes with a reward, and that reward is something new, something fresh. It comes with an era change more times than not, complete with like a new look, a new sound, a new artistic vision, and oftentimes a deeper message, a message that relays what's kind of been going on with that artist over the last break that they've been on. This is one of the main reasons why I believe what Cardi B is attempting to do is so difficult. When going away for so long, you have to deliver something kind of special. Like, you can't just come back with an album that's pretty good or maybe even somewhat similar to the first one and decent. You need something to make that time feel like it was worth it. Whether that's coming back and admitting a lot of your character flaws and creating art that not only acknowledges your flaws but talks about how you grew from them, like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, or coming back with a completely revamped sound that's completely different from your last album, like Kanye Kanye from Yeezus to The Life of Pablo, or changing your aesthetic along with your sound like Playboi Carti with his newest album Music, where he changed his sound and his clothes from that like punk rock to a much more traditional early 2000s Atlanta feel. My fear for Cardi B is that she comes into this album with some like decent to good, maybe even really good music, but it just doesn't feel fresh. Like something that required some sort of time off. Now, no album's gonna be good enough to justify a 7-year wait. If you're expecting this album to justify her being gone for 7 years, you're just setting yourself up to be disappointed. But I will say there should be enough new content on here to make it feel like an update of the Cardi B that we've known for close to a decade now. Like she can come into this album making her same style of music from 2018, and it'll be pretty good. And there will be some songs on here that'll turn into hits because Cardi B is a hit maker. It just might end up feeling a bit out of place as an album in today's era. Cardi B doesn't really strike me as an artist that's going to have a crazy artistic change in her product. She seems to be pretty surface level when it comes to her style of music and the meaning of her music, but that's not really an insult. Like, not every single piece of art is going to be this super deep thing where you have to think about it 3 times, listen to it 4 times to really understand what's going on. Sometimes you just want to make a song about turning up with your girls. Sometimes you just want to make a song where you're saying F your ex. That's totally fine. I just think that some of the moves that she's making are reminiscent of an artist that is a little bit deeper and a little bit more layered, whether that's in terms of meaning or in terms of what they're doing with their sound and their art. And that doesn't really match up with what Cardi B is doing. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love for her to go a little bit deeper and change some things and really surprise me on this project. I just see her though as an artist that's going to be pretty much in her safe bubble for the rest of her career. And that's why some of the moves that she's making are a bit concerning to me, or at least the moves she's been making for the last 7 years, because this is something that you do when you're a Frank Ocean, a Kendrick Lamar, a Kanye West even. And Cardi B hasn't really struck me as an artist that fits into that sort of mold. Where Cardi B can bring some new life into this album, though, would be going into depth about how everything has been with her relationship with Offset. If this album is going to be monumental for Cardi, this probably has to be the Offset album. We've been subjected to this drama between them for like 2 decades at this point. The cheating rumors, the crash outs on social media, this new Stephon Diggs saga. It's just been nonstop oversharing for years at this point. It's to the point in which me saying this needs to be included in the album isn't even me like overstepping or, acting like I'm entitled to the artist sharing their personal life just because they're fans, because they have told us everything. They've ran to us every single time something has happened. On social media, all you gotta do is pull it up. It's there. There's a history of it. So it's not even me minding Cardi B's business or, you need to mind your business as a fan. At this point, it is my business. It is our business. You've told us everything. And it would be truly a waste to try and make a follow-up album to her debut without including the 7 years of drama that have gone on between her and her soon-to-be or current ex-husband. Like, that would truly just be ignoring the 27 elephants that have somehow snuck into the room. Not only because, artists tend to make their best music when they're emotionally vulnerable and telling us about something that really happened to them and really is affecting them in their real life, but because she clearly has so much to say about the situation. What is the point of telling your story through Twitter Spaces when you can tell your story through the music and get whatever message you really want across to the people actually heard? Following up a debut album that big and successful is a very difficult thing, and oftentimes people fail to meet the expectations they unintentionally set for themselves by having such a great first album. So I understand wanting to be cautious with that next project, but there have been so many different missed opportunities to drop an album when Cardi was on fire. Not dropping her second album after WAP is one of the greatest missed opportunities of all time. That wasn't just a #1 song. That was a culture-shifting moment where everyone was paying attention. Everyone was doing the dances on TikTok. Lots of people were disgusted by the vulgarity of the language, but regardless of if you loved it or you hated it, everyone had an opinion, and everyone had a very strong opinion. There wasn't a better song that an artist could have asked for when it comes to setting up your next album. Now, yes, I understand there was COVID and pregnancy and other factors, but I get that. Like, I understand that that ruined the start of the rollout, but regardless, if there ever was a moment in time in history to drop an album, it was right after the release of WAP. I've spoken about Cardi B in the past and how I like her music, but she's felt more like an influencer than a musician over the last few years or so. And we talk more about her social media antics and whatever she's going through with Offset more than her actual music. Like, I don't know, like, it started to feel like she didn't even really care that much about music, and that, like, if the album came out, it came out. If it didn't, she didn't really care that much to put it out. But even through all of that, even through like neglecting her music career and it almost feeling like an obligation whenever she would have to gear up to drop like her yearly single or her yearly like 2 to 3 features, Cardi B was still a hitmaker. Even in the time between Invasion of Privacy up until now, she's really done nothing but drop hits. Like, that's what Cardi B is. She's an artist that exists to dominate the charts. She isn't really the type of artist to exist without commercial success. Everything about Cardi is commercial, and there's really nothing wrong with that. She exists to be played on the radio and walk red carpets, have late night talk show appearances, be on billboards, have cameos in movies. Yet in order to get and have those things, her albums need to not only be considered good by the people, but they need to be big and commercially dominant. But Cardi B has kind of put herself behind the 8 ball with this super long wait. More than almost any other artist, her numbers really do matter for her perception. Her selling 250K or 60K really matters a lot more than even it does for somebody like a Lil Baby, even though it still does matter for him. But Cardi B wasn't really the first of her kind. That was clearly Nicki as the prototype. However, this new wave of women didn't really flood the game the way that they have with names like Glorilla, Meg Thee Stallion, Lotto, and others until Cardi kind of kicked that door down with Bodak Yellow, which is a good thing, yes, but it's also kind of a bad thing. It's a good thing because there are more women getting more opportunities in the space, but at the same time, we don't really need Cardi B anymore. Like, there are several women who are filling the hole that she left. So if Cardi doesn't really lock in and kind of capture the world again like she did in the past with this album, people really will start to move on and actually see her more as an influencer than a musician. And I really do hope that she does well because I like Cardi B. I like her energy. I like her music. I hope that she does well. I hope she sells 1 million first week. But she really did put herself in a position where it's going to be a hell of a challenge. She has a big mountain to climb. She has a wall against her back, and the odds aren't in her favor right now, okay? Because this album could very easily sell 80K first week. But if she really gets on it, she really gets hot again because she still does have a very big fan base, I could see this still end up being one of the bigger albums of 2025. And I really hope that's the case. But if you made it this far, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments about Cardi B. But if you made it this far, again, I appreciate you. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It helps me out a ton. I go by the name of Pay. Peace.